Hi everyone, this week the paper looks at technology user groups and supporting teachers in ICT, digital technologies, professional development once they're in the school situation. So first of all I want to talk about what is a technology user group, because even though there's a lot of good things about the paper, I don't think it really explains that well what a technology user group is. And even when it does that, it's towards the end of the paper. So what is it? It's a formal group who are supported to develop their knowledge and skills of digital technologies through interaction with each other and with digital technologies experts that lead the sessions. Now, these sessions can be all face-to-face, or they can be totally online, or they can be a combination of both. In some instances they also involve the use of and provision of hardware and software, and that's the case with this study because they were provided with hardware and software as part of the deal. Plus they received a small payment as well, which is not the usual thing, but just something to make sure that the people participated in the study. Normally if it's a technology user group in schools, the benefits of it in professional development are enough to make it happen rather than pay people for it. I was involved in setting up a technology user group a few years ago that looked at people who are practicing teachers in remote and rural areas across Australia, and each site was provided with video conferencing facilities and funds to pay for that video conferencing link for up 12 months, sometimes it was a little bit more. One of the papers that resulted out of that was a paper on what happened in Western Queensland out near Longreach with schools like Junda State School and so on. In this instance, the technology user group linked in by video conference to experts in the use of digital technologies across Australia. So we had a big group of teachers, had a big group of experts in each state. Each of the experts talked about their particular area of interest and gave information about that. Then the teachers decided what area suited them best and then chose to join in particular areas. For instance, it might be the use of blogs, for instance, or wikis, and then they joined in, learnt from the group, from each other and from the experts, and then introduced new innovative techniques into their classrooms with various projects. Now, in Queensland, there's a lot of technology user groups supported by QSite, which is the Queensland Technology Users Association. So you can go to the internet and Google QSite, QSITE, and you'll find it and you'll see a lot about what they do. Now, this study of this user group actually happened in the US. If you've read the paper already, you'd know that. And the paper, like the studies that we've read about in Australia and New Zealand, they reported patchy use of digital technologies in early childhood education, with some examples being really infused with technology and other examples where we're just catching up or not using much about digital technologies at all. So it's similar in the US to Australia and New Zealand. Other areas of education have adopted technologies earlier than what's been the case in ECE education, because there was a debate for quite a while in ECE spaces about whether it was harmful to introduce digital technologies at such an early age and whether it should be later, and you had different organisations and methods used, such as the Steiner School opposing the use of digital technologies at an early age. But in the end, most people now agree, because it's such an integral part of everyday life, that we do need to start digital technologies early, and we do need to have people getting up to speed when they're doing their pre-service training, and then we need to have that ongoing when they get into service. But now in the US, all the major associations involved with ECE education all advocate the use of digital technologies in ECE. but making sure that it's age appropriate and that it adds value to the instruction. Now, the paper outlined the main challenge that we're faced with now, and that's how to best develop the knowledge and skills of ECE educators. If we're going to have this widespread and used frequently in ECE education, then we have to make sure that these skills and the knowledge developed in teachers and pre-service teachers. So the challenge is, how do you best go about that? And in this study they agree that the training needs to take place in pre-service education, but then it needs to be ongoing once the teachers are practicing. They emphasise also the importance of what they call AT for students with disabilities in early childhood settings. Now, AT refers to assistive technology, so that's what it stands for, which often incorporates new digital technology with design technology and older technologies together to produce devices and associated software sometimes that enable children to do things that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do. Some children wouldn't even be able to function at all in some environments without this assistive technology. So wherever you see that AT in this paper as well, you'll know what that means. Now, I've got a book that I published through Peter Lang in New York. It's entitled Equity in ICT and Education. It's available in most libraries, including the JCU library, and there's a whole chapter in there about assistive technologies. So people that are very interested in that area, if you want to grab that book out, you'll be able to have a look at a full chapter on AT and what that's all about. The paper goes on to explain that the technology user groups aim to help teachers in various ways. For example, to develop the proficiency using digital technologies to create instructional supports, and to develop a basic understanding of technology, and to create and implement instructional activities and products using technology. So I'll just go over that again. Create instructional supports, understand the technology, and thirdly, to create and implement those activities and products using technology. It also recognised that a lot of teacher PD that happens in the US, and this is also relevant here in Australia, always has been, is that it's often very short term, and therefore quite often it's ineffective because of that short term nature. People go away, do it, get enthusiastic, it's all over in a hurry, and then they forget about it. Whereas technology user groups offer long term engagement. Sometimes it starts with a short PD face-to-face and then it's kept going through the technology user group, which is a good model because people in rural and remote areas especially often can't get the long-term support. But if it's part of this and it's set up this way, they can be engaged in a short-term PD, sometimes have to travel to be part of that, and then they're part of the technology user group that's ongoing, and so it's not just sort of forgotten about. The paper also goes on to outline some of the advantages of technology user groups, such as allowing the participants to ask ongoing questions, to share their learning and products with others, and to develop and practice new skills. In the case of this research, the results of taking part in the technology user group was very positive. You can read the paper about the more fine details about the different areas that showed improvement. An advantage of this case was that they provided the teachers with extra hardware and software, and importantly it had the support of the school administration and the district and regional authorities. So all of those things are important. You know, it has to be supported at the school level, at the district level, sometimes the state level. All those levels of support really help. And then if someone's willing to put in money towards it and help out with providing software and hardware that goes in with the instruction with the user group, then all the better. But that's not necessarily what's always going to happen. Sometimes it's a matter of using the existing resources. It's still good to have that ongoing professional development. so. I'll leave it at that and leave it to you to read the paper through in detail, and I'm sure you'll find it very interesting.